Alright, sorry about that guys. I've been sorting some stuff out and my model was floating a little bit, so I had to sort that out on VTube Studio as well. But welcome guys, we are going to be continuing the novel reading today. And I think we're in chapter 6 or something like that. So yeah, is there anything I need to do before I do that though? I don't think so. No, I don't think. Alright. Let me just actually go over to the other account. Alright. So we are on chapter 6. Also guys, tomorrow, I don't know if there will be a stream because I have to go over to my sister's tomorrow to drop off some birthday cards for my nephew. And then Friday I think I can stream, it's just that I won't be streaming on the afternoon even though I booked the day off from work. So, yeah, tomorrow's stream, I don't know what's going on with tomorrow's stream. If I can stream, then I'll stream, but what I'll do is I will, after this stream is ended and I've finished 2 hours, I'll end this stream and reopen another stream and we'll do some Honkai Star Rail, and then tomorrow, if I can stream, I'll stream some Mass Effect, but if not, then Friday I'll stream Mass Effect. Because, I don't know if I'll be able to stream tomorrow. And I don't want to say, oh yeah, I can stream at this certain time, because I have no idea when. I'll be leaving the house around about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning to get to my sister's. So it's gonna be one of those odd ones. But, like I said, once this stream is finished, I'll reopen another stream and we'll stream some Honkai Star Rail. And then when it comes to streaming next, we can stream some Mass Effect, or Mass Effect 2. Okay. Chapter 6, guys. The Malevolent. Right then, the unconscious Jinling suddenly sat up. In front of the other two, he staggeringly crawled to his feet, with eyes still closed. Wei Wuxian wanted to see exactly what he wanted to do, so he didn't move. He saw Jinling slowly bypass him, then lift his leg and step into the wall anew. Exactly where he had just been buried, he laid his hands by his sides. Even his posture was exactly the same as before. Wei Wuxian yanked him out of the wall again, both amused and weirded out. Just as he was going to tell Lan Wangji that they shouldn't stick around, a sudden angry barking from the distance made him jolt. Ever since they had gotten inside, the black-haired spirit dog had been obediently sitting outside the hole, wagging its tail. It was at once It was at once pitiful and anxious as it waited for them to bring its master back out. So it didn't make any more noise. Yet now it was roaring even more viciously than before. "Something is amiss outside the bunker," Lan Wangji said. He reached out to help support Jinling, but Wei Wuxian rushed to carry the boy on his back. "Let's go out of here and see." The two swiftly went back the way they'd come. As they bent down and exited the hole, they saw that the black-haired spirit dog had its back facing them and was growling in a particular direction. Wei Wuxian braced himself and tried to go over, but he just couldn't bear to listen to that sound and unconsciously backed up a number of steps. But the dog only had to turn its head and notice he was carrying Jinling before it came dashing over. Wei Wuxian wailed, but just as he was about to throw Jinling off his back, Lan Wangji sidestepped and blocked the dog. The black-haired spirit dog immediately halted, then dropped its tail. It didn't pant, because there was something dangling from its jaws. Lan Wangji went over, bent down, and took out a piece of cloth from between its teeth. He returned to pass it to Wei Wuxian to see. It seemed to be a piece of a robe's hem. There must have been someone who was spying or wandering nearby, and the person must have acted suspiciously. Otherwise, the black-haired spirit dog wouldn't have barked with such animosity. Wei Wuxian said, "They're not far away. Chase after them." However, Lan Wangji said, "No need. I know who it is." "Me too," Wei Wuxian said. "The same people who spread the Xinglu Ridge rumors, unleashed the walking corpses, set up the maze array, and built the stone fortress. And those sabers. But if we don't catch them now, it'll be hard to track them down later." "I will give chase." "You and Jinling?" Lan Wangji asked. "I'll take him down Xinglu Ridge and find a place in Qihhe to settle him. The place where we ran into that quack doctor. Let's meet up there." The exchange was extremely rushed, and Lan Wangji only paused for a moment. But still, Wei Wuxian added, "Go on, take any longer and they'll get away. I'll be there." At the "I'll be there," Lan Wangji gave him a deep look. Without another word, he turned to take his leave. The black-haired spirit dog instantly moved to pounce at him once more, and Wei Wuxian wailed immediately. Wait. Take the dog with you, take the dog." And so Lan Wangji had no choice but to turn back. He gave the black-haired spirit dog a domineering look, and it didn't dare disobey, whimpering pitifully as it followed behind Lan Wangji as it went along. It still gazed back at Jinling every few steps. Wei Wuxian wiped his sweat, then glanced back at those eerily white stone bunkers, resettled Jinling on his back, and went straight down Xinglu Ridge. It was near dusk by then. He carried an unconscious youth on his back, both of them covered in dirt and looking to be in quite a sorry state. And for this they attracted frequent looks from passerby on the road. Wei Wuxian returned to the street where Jinling had called his dog to chase him earlier that day and found an inn. He called his dog to chase... Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm reading the same line. He used the money he'd fished from Lan Wangji's person to buy 2 sets of new clothing and asked for a room. He pulled off Jinling's robes, wrinkly from being buried in the earth, but with the embroidery of the sparks amidst no family insignia still clear upon them. However, as he proceeded to pull off his boots, he stopped abruptly. On Jinling's calf, there seemed to be a patch of shadow. Wei Wuxian crouched down and rolled his pants leg up. In doing this, he discovered it wasn't a shadow, but a bruise. This wasn't a bruise from an injury, rather it was the mark of an evil curse. A curse mark was a special blemish that evil spirits left on their prey. When it appeared, it meant that the person had encountered something exceedingly wicked, and that something would definitely come back to claim its target. Perhaps it would bide its time and take ages to come calling, or perhaps it would come that very night. In milder cases, it would simply remove the marked limb. In serious cases, it simply took their life. So basically, Jinling has a curse mark on his leg, and Wei Wuxian has to do something about it, basically. I'm gonna have a little drink real quick. Jinling's entire leg had turned black, and that mark was still festering further upward. Wei Wuxian had never seen a curse mark with such a dense black colour, nor one spreading across this wide of an area. The more he inspected, the more grave his expression became. He dropped Jinling's pant leg and undid Jinling's inner robe. Seeing his chest and abdomen areas were clear, and that the curse mark hadn't yet spread that far, he sighed a breath of relief. Right then, Jinling opened his eyes. He was dazed for a good while, his body bare and exposed to the chilly breeze. Then he suddenly snapped awake and scrambled upright in a hurry, his face flushed as he yelled, What are you doing?" Wei Wuxian laughed. "Ayo, you're awake?" It seemed Jinling was greatly shaken. He grabbed his inner robes, shrinking into the corner of the bed. "What are you going to do? Where are my clothes? Where's my sword? Where's my dog?" "I was going to dress you," Wei Wuxian said. His expression and tone of voice were as compassionate as that of an old grandma waiting to add warm layers for her little grandson. Jinling clung to the wall, his hair loose and disheveled. "I'm not a cut sleep." Oh my god. He thinks that Wei Wuxian is going to go to bed with him and sleep with him. What the fuck? Oh, good lord, Jinling. You're his goddamn nephew. He would never do that to you. Bloody hell. Wei Wuxian was delighted. What a coincidence. I am. Jinling grabbed his sword from the side of the bed, looking very much like he was going to kill himself to protect his honor should Wei Wuxian come to step closer. Wei Wuxian had to expel real effort to stop laughing. He said, hugging his belly, "What are you scared for? It's just a joke. I worked so hard to dig you out of that wall. Aren't you even going to say thanks?" In the midst of the kerfuffle, Jinling grabbed a fistful of his messy hair and smoothed it out to appear more presentable, as he said angrily, If not for that, the fact that you dead stripped me, for that I would have killed you 1,000,000 times." "Don't. Dying once was painful enough, Wei Wuxian said. Alright, put the sword down. Still in a mess of confusion, Jinling put his sword down as told. During the inquiry session, his living soul had left his body, and he couldn't remember much of anything. Despite this, he did vaguely know that the person in front of him was the one who had dug him out and carried him the entire way down the mountain. After he'd gotten buried inside that wall, there had been a period of time when he was still conscious, and the fear and despair in his heart had entirely consumed him. He'd never imagined the one who'd break through that wall, who'd save him from his fear and despair, would be this man whom he'd detested at first sight. His face changed colours, paling and flushing, blushing and embarrassed. His thoughts were flurries in the air, floating without a place to land. Suddenly he noticed the sky outside the window was already darkening. The night scarcely scattered with stars, and was instantly alarmed at the sight. It just so happened that Wei Wuxian had bent down to pick up the new clothes scattered on the ground. So Jinling hopped off the bed, pulled on his boots, grabbed his outer robe, and ran out the door. Wei Wuxian had thought he'd been mopey for at least a few hours after enduring such torture. Who could have known the youths were so full of energy, jumping around perfectly fine again in a blink of an eye, running out and disappearing from sight in a flash. I forgot how long chapter 6 is. Oh, there's a picture. Wait, I need to see the picture. Oh god, that's, yeah. Oh god. Okay, so we are not going to be getting through this chapter all in one session. Maybe 2 sessions. So maybe next week we'll be able to fully finish it. And then move on to the last chapter. Right. What are you running for? Come back! Jinling kept sprinting as he draped his wrinkled and dirty family robe back on, yelling back, "Don't follow me!" He was lithe and his legs long, and it took only a handful of strides for him to charge out of the inn. Wei Wuxian chased after him for a number of streets and was finally actually thrown off his trail. After searching around, twilight was looming, and the crowds on the streets were dwindling. Wei Wuxian gritted his teeth. Where was I? Oh. Outrageous. That child is absolutely outrageous. With no other choice, he was about to give up. Just then, the furious voice of a man came from ahead at the end of a long street. I only scolded you a little, and you decided to run off and disappear. Are you a spoilt young mistress? Your temper's getting worse by the day. Zhang Cheng. Oh, it is Zhang Cheng. Oh. So Zhang Cheng is here. Okay. I forgot about this part. Oh, I'm floating. Okay. My model likes to float. Zhang. Wei Wuxian quickly ducked into an alleyway. Soon after, Jinling's voice came as well. Didn't I already come back perfectly fine? Stop nagging me. So Jinling didn't come to Chihe alone? No wonder. Zhang was there to assist him last time at Mount Dafan, so why wouldn't he come this time? But judging by the state of things, the two had a fight at Xinghe town, which was why Jinling had climbed Xinglu Ridge alone. He must have run off in such a rush earlier because Zhang had threatened to teach him a lesson if he didn't return by nightfall, or something along those lines. Perfectly fine? Zhang scolded. You look like you rolled in the gutters, and you're telling me perfectly fine? Aren't you embarrassed, wearing your family's uniform like this? Hurry back and change this instant. Say it right now. What did you run into today? Jinling replied, irritated. I already said I didn't run into anything. I tripped and fell. This trek was a total waste of time. Ow! He yelled. Don't pinch me like that, I'm not 3. Zhang berated him sharply. Oh, so you think I can't manage you anymore? Let me tell you, even when you're 30, I can still pinch you. If you dare run off on your own without saying anything again, the whip will be ready. It's precisely because I don't want anyone's help that I don't want anyone managing me that I went alone, Ling protested. Wei Wuxian thought. Everything else aside, Zhang saying he has the temper of a spoilt young mistress really is right on the money. And now? Zhang demanded. What did you catch? Where's the black-haired spirit dog your uncle gave you? Taken by Lan Chan to who knows where. Wei Wuxian was still thinking when at the other end of the alley there came a familiar barking. Wei Wuxian's face changed drastically, his legs moving on their own. He charged out like a nasty arrow was hot on his trail. The black-haired spirit dog dashed over from the other end of the alley, past Wei Wuxian and pounced on Jinling's legs, wagging its tail with great affection. Since the dog had appeared, that meant Lan Wangji had most likely caught the spy that had been lurking near the stone bunkers, and gone to their appointed meeting place. However, at this moment, Wei Wuxian didn't have the time to think about that. His mad dash had just so happened to bring him in front of Zhang and Jinling, as well as a large group of Zhang sect disciples. Both parties froze for a moment. Then Wei Wuxian silently turned on his heel to flee. He hadn't run very far before he heard the sizzling sound of lightning and a long purple electric current wrapped around his calf like a venomous snake. I cannot speak. He's got caught. A paralyzing pain flowed through his body from top to bottom. Then he was yanked back, instantly collapsing to the ground. After that, he felt the front of his chest tighten. Someone had picked him up by the back of his robes. With astonishing speed, Wei Wuxian reached to grab for his spirit trapping pouch, but it was taken away from him before he could manage. With him firmly in his grasp, Zhang took a few steps, walked to the nearest inn, and kicked open the door that was already half shut. The inn owner had just been about to close down for the night. But suddenly there was a handsome and ill-tempered man in noble and elegant dress kicking his door open and storming in. That same guest was dragging someone with him, looking very much like he was going to cut the person's stomach open right there, and the inn owner was scared mute. A sect disciple came over, explained the situation to him in low whispers, and stuffed up any further protests with money. The inn owner then quickly hid in the back hall. There was no need for instructions. The Zhang Clan disciples quickly spread out, surrounding the inn inside and out, guarding the place so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Jin Ling stood on the side, looking like he wanted to speak, but withered and uncertain. Zhang Chang barked at him fiercely. "I'll deal with you in a moment. Stand right there and don't move." Hello there, Vishesh. Ever since he could remember, Jin Ling had never seen such an expression on Zhang Chang's face before. This uncle of his, who from a young age had single-handedly led the reputable cultivation sect of the Zhang Clan of Yanmeng, had always been coldly stern and somber, and the words he spoke were merciless and unkind, and yet now he was desperately trying to suppress any unnecessary expression. His eyes still flashed with terrifying light. That face was forever coloured by pride, twisted by sneers, and veiled by gloom. But now it was, though it had brightened. It was hard to tell whether he was gritting his teeth with bone-deep hatred, or whether he was feral with joy. "Lend me your dog," Zhang Chang said. Jin Ling snapped out of his shock and hesitated for a moment. Zhang Chang's gaze, sharp... What the fuck is going on downstairs? Zhang Chang's gaze, sharp as lightning, came sweeping over, and only then did Jin Ling whistle. The black-haired spirit dog scurried over in a few trots. Wei Wuxian was frozen stiff as an iron board and could only let the man drag him, stumbling along step by step. Zhang Chang found an empty room and threw Wei Wuxian inside. The door closed behind him. The black-haired dog had followed in behind, sitting by the entrance. Both of Wei Wuxian's eyes were glued on it, high on guard in case it came pouncing over, reflecting on how he'd been so quickly apprehended. Wei Wuxian thought to himself that Zhang Chang really did know him like the back of his hand. As Wei Wuxian ruminated, Zhang Chang slowly sat down by the table and poured himself a cup of tea. The two were silent for a moment, for a while. A long while. I can't even fucking speak. The cup of tea was steaming. Without having drunk a single sip, Zhang Chang suddenly and viciously hurtled it to the ground. The corner of Zhang Chang's lips curled up slightly. Do you have nothing to say to me? Growing up together, Zhang Chang had lost count of how many times he'd witnessed the pathetic way Wei Wuxian dashed madly from the jaws of dogs. It was fine if Wei Wuxian refused to admit it to others, but this was something Zhang Chang knew so very well, and nothing Wei Wuxian could talk his way out of. This was a test more difficult to pass than facing Zidian. Zidian is basically the purple lightning whip that Zhang Chang uses. Wei Wuxian replied earnestly, I don't know what to say to you. Zhang Cheng said softly, You won't repent, just as expected. Their conversations back then were always filled with fleet-footed sarcasm. They were constantly trying to pull the rug out from under each other. So Wei Wuxian replied without thinking, You haven't improved at all. Zhang Cheng laughed out of sheer anger. Very good. Let us see then, who's the one who hasn't improved in the least? He remained seated and unmoving at the table, but gave a shout. At the sound, the black-haired spirit dog immediately stood at attention. Being in the same room as this creature already had Wei Wuxian in a cold sweat, but seeing a vicious dog half the size of a grown man, appearing inches in front of him in an instant with his teeth bared, its ears perked and its eyes sharp, the sound of its low growling sound... Its low growling sounding by his ears, waves of numbness coursing through him from the bottoms of his feet to the top of his head. He didn't remember much anymore of his time wandering the streets, homeless, when he was younger. The only thing he did remember was the panic of being chased, and the unbearable pain of the sharp teeth and claws of the dogs digging into his flesh. The fear had been deeply planted in his heart back then and could not fade or be overcome no matter what. Suddenly Zhang Cheng gave him a side-eye. What name did you say? Wei Wuxian's wits were so scrambled that he couldn't recall whether he'd said anyone's name right then. It wasn't until Zhang Cheng commanded the black-haired spirit dog to retreat that he arduously regained himself. After blanking for a moment, he wrenched his head back. Zhang Cheng, meanwhile, had left his seat. A horsewhip hung askew on his waist, as he rested his hand over it. Bending down to regard Wei Wuxian's face, after a brief pause, he straightened up. He said, Speaking of, I forgot to ask you, since when have you gotten so well? I can't even speak. Since when have you gotten along so well with Lan Wangji? Wei Wuxian instantly figured out whose name he had blurted unconsciously just now. Oh, okay. So basically when Zhang Cheng called the dog to glare at Wei Wuxian, unconsciously, Wei Wuxian said Lan Chan's name. Probably quietly or something, I don't know. And now he remembers him saying it. Zhang Cheng smiled darkly. It really is curious why he went to such lengths to protect you that time at Mount Dafan. He then quickly corrected himself. No, the one Lan Wangji was protecting might not have been you after all. There is no way the Lan clan of Gusu would forget what you and that loyal dog of yours have done. How could someone like him, so lauded for his manners and solemn righteousness, possibly tolerate you? Perhaps he shares some sort of relationship with this body you've stolen. He does not. Like, the thing is about Zhang Cheng is that he doesn't know Lan Wangji's actual feelings and the moments that Wei Wuxian and him have shared. Like, there is something that obviously, well, there's a lot of things that Zhang Cheng knows that Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji know. But the fact that Lan Wangji knows already that his body is not his, but he knows that it's Wei Wuxian. It's for the audience and for the people that are reading this book, we already know no relationship with that body yet. That is very true. What the fuck? But like, the fact that we know it, it's like a different perspective, because obviously we know that Zhang Chang hates Wei Wuxian, and we also know that this body, Mo Xianyu's body, he was treated badly when he was alive, and he got mistreated because of him being gay and everything. So it's like, we know these things, but Zhang Chang doesn't. And sometimes I feel like Zhang Chang is jealous of a lot of people because the amount of things that he doesn't know. He didn't know why, and he didn't understand why Wei Wuxian betrayed him in the past, which we'll find out later on. He doesn't know why he now has an interesting and close relationship with Lan Wangji compared to in the past. He doesn't understand Lan Wangji's feelings for him. He doesn't understand why Wei Wuxian is doing what he's doing now. And I feel like he's jealous of a lot of things because he doesn't know anything about anyone. So when he does find out these different things, it's like shocking to him, and he bursts out into anger because he doesn't understand and he doesn't get why things are going on in his life that he doesn't get. And then when he suddenly finds out, he's like, for fuck's sake, I should have known this. Why didn't I know this? How could these people do this? How could that person say that, this, that, and the other? And I feel like his anger is mostly because of his past with, like, his parents, and from that, he basically put on his anger towards Wei Wuxian. We'll find that out in the future and everything. You guys will find out why he hates Wei Wuxian and what kind of relationship Zhang Chang had with his parents. The relationship between Wei Wuxian and Zhang Chang's parents, and maybe there's, I think it's in the book, I'm not quite sure, I haven't read the books, so there may be some kind of like issue, there is kind of like an issue between Zhang Chang's parents because of Wei Wuxian's parents, so there is a kind of like issue there, but that's the reason why they don't really get along. And it's also the reason why Zhang Chang hates Wei Wuxian, because he blames him and everything. But yeah, Guy has issues. He does have issues. I mean, a lot of these people do have issues. Wei Wuxian has issues. I mean, obviously, he feels like he has to protect other people and not giving a damn about himself, and you'll definitely find out later on how he does these things, and you get to feel sorry for him because he did everything and anything he could for everyone, protecting people, even Zhang Chang, which you guys will find out later on down the line. And we'll find out, like, Wei Wuxian likes to tease Lan Wangji a lot, especially in the past, but not in the, well, I say that, but there is a lot of times that he likes to, I say flirt, but it's not really flirting. I mean, he flirts in the present time, but in the past it was more teasing than anything, and people thought that he was with other people and shit like that. Yeah, Wei Wuxian has a big issue. His dead spirit is haunting a body. And the fact that everyone saw him as the villain because of the demonic cultivation shows that people as soon as they see demonic cultivation, it's like they forget about all the good that he does and skips past it and thinks that he's the bad guy, but in retrospect, he was actually the good guy. And the reason why Wei Wuxian thinks that Lan Wangji hates him is because Wei Wuxian thought it would be best if he acted as the bad guy in the past so that he could protect Lan Wangji, because Wei Wuxian was afraid that he would harm him with his demonic energy, because people thought that he hadn't got control and full control over the demonic cultivation. So he unconsciously wanted himself to be the bad guy in front of Lan Wangji, to hate him, so that he could protect him from that demonic energy, just in case the people was correct about him not being in full control of the demonic cultivation. So that is an issue with Wei Wuxian. Obviously there's the issue with the whole communication and not actually sharing the feelings and stuff with Lan Wangji, because obviously Lan Wangji has always been gay. He's always been attracted to Wei Wuxian, even when he was being annoying and teasing and shit like that. So he's not very good at communicating his feelings and doesn't really say what's on his mind. That's his issue. His brother, Lan Zichen, is naive. That's his issue, because, trust me, you'll find out later on down the line why he's naive. And then obviously there's the bad people like Jingong Yao and stuff like that. We'll find out that later on down the line. And then obviously there's Zhang Cheng, who is arrogant, and I feel like he's violent, like his mother. But at the same time, he just wants his family and everything, and it's one of the reasons why he brought up Jinling. But yeah. But like at the back of his head, unconsciously, even though he's appearing like he really, really, really hates Wei Wuxian, he does think that he wants his brother back. So there is a little bit of relief that Wei Wuxian is now alive again, because he wants his brother back. He always has wanted his brother. Even though he hates him and blames him and shit like that, he does want his family. I think that's one thing about Zhang Cheng that, like, we as the audience and readers and stuff like that, we get to understand about, like, people's, like thoughts and feelings, whether they may be at the front of their mind or at the back of the mind. It's like, you get to experience both sides of someone, whether they appear to be the angry grape that Zhang Cheng appears to be, but also the sensitive side to him, bringing Jinling up and everything ever since he was born, and wanting his family and everything. Like, he has that soft side to him. But yeah, like I said, like, everyone has issues, and yeah, you guys will find out a lot more about each character as we go along. This is only the first volume, so we're not going to find out a lot about the past and everything until maybe the second book, or maybe later on down the line in chapter 7. Who knows? I forgot where I was at. I forgot all about what I was reading. Here we go. Perhaps he shares some sort of relationship with this body of soul. No, he has not. His words were harsh and cruel. Everything he said was backhanded praise, heavy with implication. Wei Wuxian couldn't listen anymore. He said, "Watch your tongue. I never do. Did you forget that, perhaps?" Wait, what? Oh, Wei Wuxian said, "Watch your tongue." Zhang Cheng said, "I never do. Did you forget that, perhaps?" "I must have," Wei Wuxian said derisively. I don't know what that even means. Zhang Cheng snorted. "As if you're one to tell me to watch my tongue. Did you remember to watch your tongue with Jinling back at Mount Dafan?" Wei Wuxian's face instantly stiffened. Zhang Cheng, having cornered him again, appeared to brighten up once more. He sneered. "Didn't your mother teach you any manners? What an excellent rebuke. So well said. The reason there's so much talk behind Jinling's back is all thanks to you. An elder of your eminence is apt to forget. You've forgotten the things you've said, forgotten the promises you've made, but don't you dare forget exactly how his parents died." Wei Wuxian's head shot up. "I didn't forget. I was only..." But no matter how he tried, he came up short on how to continue after that. Only. Only what? Are you tongue-tied? That's alright. You can return to Lotus Pier, kneel before my parents' altar, and take your time to think about what to say. Wei Wuxian composed himself, his mind turning rapidly as he tried to think of a way to get out of this. Although he missed the Lotus Pier desperately, the place he wanted to return to wasn't the Lotus Pier of today, which had changed beyond recognition. Suddenly there was the sound of urgent footfalls dashing close. The door banged with the sound of someone slamming palm. Jinling was calling from the outside the room. "Juju!" Zhang Cheng raised his voice. "Didn't I tell you to stay where you were? What are you doing here?" "Juju, I have something very important to tell you," Jinling exclaimed. "So what is so important that you have to say it right now, instead of when I was scolding you earlier?" Zhang Cheng demanded. Jinling retorted angrily. "It's because you kept scolding me earlier that I didn't say anything. Do you want to listen or not? If not, then I'm not going to tell you anymore." Zhang Cheng flung the door open, fuming. "Out with it then, scram!" Jinling stepped inside the moment the wooden door opened. He had already changed into a new set of white uniform robes. "I actually did run into something really troublesome today. I think I ran into Wei Ming." Zhang Cheng's brows knitted, and his hand was immediately on his sword. He looked murderous. "When? Where?" "This afternoon," Jinling said. "About 5 kilometers from here. There's a dilapidated house. I only went there because I heard there'd been unusual sightings. Who knew a fierce corpse was hidden inside?" Jinling made it sound so real, but every word Wei Wuxian heard was a bold-faced lie. He knew better than anyone where Jinling had been earlier this afternoon. Besides, once Wen Ning went into hiding, unless Wei Wuxian summoned him directly, he would never allow a junior to discover his trail so easily. "Why didn't you say so sooner?" Zhang Cheng said. "I wasn't sure," Jinling said. "The fierce corpse moved extremely fast the moment I went over. It fled, and I only caught a glimpse of its shadow before it got away. But back on Mount Dafan I heard those chains that were on him, which was why I wondered if it might have been him. If he didn't yell at me so much, I would have told you the moment I got back. And now if he's run off and you don't manage to catch him, you'll have to blame your own bad temper, not me." He clearly wanted to poke his head in further, but Zhang Cheng angrily shut the door in his face with a bang. He said through the door, "I'll deal with you later. Beat it." Jinling owed. and the sound of his footsteps retreated into the distance. Seeing Zhang Cheng turn around, Wei Wuxian quickly screwed his face into a complicated expression, as if he were losing colour from alarm, as if panicked thoughts were racing through his mind. My secrets have been found out. What to do? Wenling's been discovered. Jinling was pretty clever. He knew Zhang Cheng hated Wenling to the very marrow of his bones, and was able to lie to his face, on the spot, and so smoothly too. Zhang Cheng had known the Yiling Patriarch often appeared together with the Ghost General to wreak havoc, and he already suspected that Wenling was nearby. On hearing Jinling's story, he believed it 60%. After Wei Wuxian's reaction, he believed another 20%. On top of that, he was engulfed with rage. Whenever he heard Wenling's name, his anger surged to his head, so he had no sense left in him to doubt. His chest was going to explode from fury. He raised the whip, lashing the ground right next to Wei Wuxian. He spat hatefully. You really do take that good, obedient dog of yours everywhere. He's already a dead man, and I was dead once too. What more do you want from us? Wei Wuxian asked. Zhang Zhang pointed at him with the whip. What more do I want? He can die 1,000 times, 10,000 times, and my hatred will not be appeased. Since he didn't perish back then, very good. I will destroy him myself today. I will burn him to ashes right now, right in front of you. He slammed the door in his wake, barking instructions to Jinling in the main hall. Watch the man in the room carefully. Don't believe anything he says. Don't listen to anything he says. Don't let him utter a single sound. If he dares to whistle or play the flute, gag him. If you can't, cut off his hands or his tongue. Wei Wuxian knew Zhang Cheng said that purposely for him to hear, to threaten him to not try anything funny. And of course, not taking him along was guarding against Wei Wuxian seizing the opportunity to control Wenling. However, Jinling didn't sound worried in the least. I got it. It's not like I don't know how to watch someone, Juju. What were you doing? Locked in that room with that damn cut sleeve? What'd he do now? Zhang Chang replied, That's none of your business. Remember to keep an eye on him. If he disappears, so help me, I'll break your legs. He then demanded the general direction of his target, off to pursue the non-existent Wenling with half the disciples in tow. It's funny that he actually believes in Jinling, because Jinling was basically lying straight to his face. He didn't see Wenling. I mean, he did earlier, beforehand, when they were fighting the statue and everything on Mount Dafan. But other than that, he has not seen Wenling since Wei Wuxian told him to flee through the flute. That's when Lan Wangji came and he found out that that body is Wei Wuxian. I feel like Jinling is like a lot more mischievous in the novel than he is in the actual anime. I feel like he and Wei Wuxian like fit perfectly together because those two literally are alike. Where is it? Oh, I fucking forgot. After a brief wait, Jinling's arrogant voice issued a command. You go over there. You go stand watch on the side. You guys stand by the main entrance. I'm going to go in and have a talk with him. The sect disciples didn't dare disobey and acknowledge the order. A short moment later, the door to the room was opened and Jinling's head poked in, his eyes shining with pride at his own cleverness. Wei Wuxian sat up, and Jinling raised a finger to his lips. He walked in lightly and placed his hand on Zidian, mumbling an incantation under his breath. Zidian would only obey the command of one it acknowledged as a legitimate owner. Jiang Cheng must have instructed it to recognize Jinling as such, since the electrical current quiesced it instantly. The whip transformed into a silver ring adorned with a purple crystal, which dropped into Jinling's fair-skinned palm. Jinling whispered, "Go." The sect disciples of the Jiang clan of Yunmen had been scattered everywhere at his haphazard orders, and making use of the disorder, the two tiptoed to make their escape by hopping out of the window and scrambling up the wall. Once out of the inn, they bolted soundlessly. After running into the forest, Wei Wuxian heard an unusual sound behind him. When he looked back, he completely lost his mind with terror. "Why is it following us too? Tell it to go away." Jinling blew 2 short whistles. The black-haired spirit dog panted with its long, longing tongue, whining and flicking its pointy ears a few times, and then turning around and ran off, looking depressed. Jinling said derivatively, "You're so useless. Fairy never bites anyone. It only looks ferocious, that's all. You see a spirit dog that's undergone strict training and only bites evil creatures, and you take it for an average canine?" "Hold up," Wei Wuxian said. "What did you call it?" "Fairy. That's its name," Jinling replied. "You gave a dog a name like that?" Wei Wuxian was shocked. Oh, for fuck's sake, 1 second, guys. For some odd reason, my model likes to float. Let me move myself a little bit more down. Okay, I just like skimmed over the next page. Oh, I'm Jinling. Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. I don't know why I have this headset on when I can't hear anything, because it's connected to my PC and there's literally no sound that I could possibly listen to. So I don't know why I have it on during this particular stream reading. It's great. Right, here we go. Jinling replied with full confidence. Oh, I swear to God. My fucking family keep on texting me. Go away, please. Leave me in peace. It's been, what, 2 hours? Take the headphones off then, unless you want to turn on your own music. I don't think my PC would fucking handle it, honestly. To be fair, my fucking Elgato isn't being played right now. But to be fair, I don't want to fucking change the frames and stuff of my CPU. So, I'm not gonna do that. I'll just talk my headphones off. Oh my god, there's something stuck at the back of my throat. 1 second, guys. I don't know what is going on with my fucking throat. It's great. Anyway, Jinling replied with full confidence. What's wrong with that? When he was little, it was called Little Fairy. I can't keep calling it that now that it's grown. Wei Wuxian had to dispute this explanation. No, that's not the issue. Who taught you how to name pets? But there was no doubt in Wei Wuxian's mind that it must have been his uncle. Zheng Chang had also kept several puppies in the past, and they were all named something like Jasmine, Fei Fei, Xiaowei. Xiaowei means little love. Fei is the word for consort, and doubling a word in this makes it cutesy. Or other such wanton brothel names. Jinling said, Men don't bother with such trifling matters, so why are you nitpicking this? Alright, stop. After offending my uncle, you would have lost half your life for sure. Now that I'm letting you go, we're even. Do you know why your uncle apprehended me? Wei Wuxian asked. Yeah, he suspects you're Wei Wuxian, Jinling said. Wei Wuxian thought, it's not suspicion this time. He's caught the right person. Then he asked, what about you? Aren't you suspicious? Pitbull name Princess 5. Oh my god, imagine. It's not the first time my uncle has done something like this, Jinling said. He would always rather catch the wrong person than let them go. But since Zidian couldn't whip out your soul, I've determined for now that you can't be him. Besides, that Wei guy isn't a cut sleeve, and you still dared to harass. He didn't say statement was directed, cutting off the topic with a violent shudder, then waving him off like he was shooing away the god of misfortune. He still thinks he was being a cut sleeve towards him. That's funny. But Jinling, your uncle is right in front of you. He would never do anything like that to you. Either way, from today onward, you are no longer affiliated with the Jin clan of Lanling. Don't come knocking on my family's door if you're gonna be all nutty. Otherwise, I won't let you off easy. Jinling turned to leave after he'd said his piece. However, after taking a few steps, he turned his back again. What are you standing around for? Are you waiting for my uncle to come and catch you? Let me make this clear. Don't think I'll be grateful to you just because you saved me. And I don't expect me to say anything sappy either. Wei Wuxian strode over with his hands clasped behind his back. Young man, sometimes in life there are a few sappy things one must say. What? Jinling asked. Thank you, and I'm sorry, Wei Wuxian replied. Jinling clicked his tongue. Well, I refuse. What are you gonna do about it? There'll come a day when you'll say them through tears, Wei Wuxian said. Oh my god, no! Don't hit me in the feels, Wei Wuxian! Don't hit me in the feels. A little bit of backstory, guys. In the past, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, whenever something bad would happen beforehand, one of them would say either thank you or I'm sorry, and then something bad happens. It's one of the reasons why Lan Wangji is like reluctant in Wei Wuxian saying thank you and I'm sorry to him, because he doesn't want anything bad to happen anymore now that he's back in his life. So that's one thing, but another thing is that saying thank you and I'm sorry to Jinling from Wei Wuxian's perspective, it's like saying like thank you that you still exist, and like Zhang Cheng bringing him up and everything and being a great young man and everything. And then also the I'm sorry is like, I'm sorry what happened in the past with your parents and with your uncles and this, that and the other, and it feels like he's apologizing for everything that's happened in the past, and one of the reasons why his parents are not here anymore. But yeah, it's one of those, like, to different people, thank you and I'm sorry are like different, because obviously the thank you and I'm sorry in the past for Lan Wangji is different from what Wei Wuxian thinks of him and Jinling and the whole situation with Zhang Cheng and everything. Jinling scoffed, and Wei Wuxian suddenly said it himself. I'm sorry. Jinling was taken aback. What? What I said to you back at Mount Dafan. I'm sorry, Wei Wuxian said. It wasn't the first time Jinling had heard the accusation. Mother didn't teach you manners. But no one had ever apologized so earnestly before. To be hit right in the face with a sorry left him not knowing what to feel, and surprisingly he became altogether uncomfortable. He waved wildly and humphed. It's nothing. It's not like you're the first person to say that anyway. It's true I don't have a mother, but I'm not any less than anyone just because of that. In any case, I'm gonna make everyone see clearly that I'm much stronger than all of you. Wei Wuxian smiled and was about to speak when his face suddenly changed colours. He exclaimed, stunned, Zhang Cheng, you... Jinling had stolen Zidian and released the man. He was already feeling jumpy. The moment he heard that name, he spun around in a hurry, and Wei Wuxian took the chance to hand-chop his neck. He laid Jinling down on the ground and rolled up his trouser cuff to inspect the curse mark on his leg. So at this point, he basically betrayed Jinling just now, and lied to him, saying that, like, Jung Chung was behind him and everything, and because he was so jumpy, he actually fell for it. And at this moment, Wei Wuxian could betray him so that he could knock him out for a short period of time. So right now, he is basically gonna try and get the curse mark off of his leg. And he's gonna put it on himself because it's his nephew, you know? He wants to protect him just as much as Jung Chung does. So he's basically going to put the curse mark that's on Jinling's leg onto himself so that he doesn't feel any pain, nothing bad will happen to him because of it. He just wants to protect his nephew. He tried a few methods, but none made the mark fade. Knowing this to be a troublesome affliction, he let out a sigh a moment later. While he couldn't dissolve the curse mark, he could transfer it onto his own body. It was a while before Jinling slowly came to. He felt his neck where a slight pain still lingered. He was so angry he leapt up and pulled his sword out on the spot. "You actually hit me? Not even my uncle has hit me before." Wei Wuxian was shocked. "Really? Didn't he always say he was going to break your legs?" "He's all talk," Jinling exclaimed furiously. "You damn cut sleeve! What are you up to? Wei Wuxian hugged his head and cried at a target behind Jinling. "Ah! Hangonjun!" Jinling was more scared of Lan Wangji than he was of his uncle, since his uncle was family, but Hangonjun was not. Stricken, he turned and fled, yelling as he ran, "You damn cut sleeve! Cursed lunatic! I'll remember this, we're not done!" Wei Wuxian was laughing so hard at his retreat that he couldn't breathe. Once Jinling was gone, he felt a dull tickle in his chest. He coughed for a bit before slowly reining in his laughter. Only then did he have the time to think upon other things. Wei Wuxian had been 9 years old when Zhang Fengmian carried him home. The memories he had of that time were mostly blurred by now, but Jinling's mother, Zhang Yanli, remembered and had told him of it. She'd said that when her father learned of the death of Wei Wuxian's parents, Zhang Fengmian had been determined to search for the child his old friends had left behind. He searched for a long time before finally finding that child in the Yiling area. The first time he set eyes on the child, he was kneeling on the ground, eating fruit petals that others had thrown away. Winters and springs in Yiling were very cold. This child's clothing was threadbare, with the knees worn to tatters, and he clumsily balanced on his toes in 2 different shoes, neither one in the right size. Although he was deeply immersed in rummaging for fruit peels, when Zhang Fengmian called out to him, he still remembered his name had a ying in it, and looked up. His cheeks were red and cracked from the cold, but he still wore a smile. Zhang Yunli said that he had been born with a smiling face, a natural smiling fortune. No sadness would be taken to heart, and he could be cheerful under any circumstances. It made him sound like a simpleton, but it was a good thing. Yeah, like, that's the thing with Wei Wuxian. He always tries to keep a smile, as you can see from the picture, or both pictures in this particular case on the screen, is that he is a smiling person. In the past, when he had to use demonic cultivation, however, that was when that smile faded, because people began to think that he was the bad guy, and that's when the smile faded, up until the point of his death. So, oh god, what is my stream doing? How are 4,000 frames dropped already? What the fuck is going on? It's a bit weird. But yeah, when he came into the body of Musanyu, as you can see on the screen, he wore a smile. Mostly because he's extremely mischievous, and I love it. Slay. But it's unfortunate that a big part of the past and the story behind the whole demonic cultivation is with him not smiling. It's mostly like the depressed, saddening feeling that he feels. It's not really the fact that he feels angry. Well, at certain parts he feels angry because of what happened in the past, but he's also extremely sad and depressed because he feels like everyone is against him, and all he wants to do is protect the people that are closest to him and protect the innocent. And now that he's in his second life, I feel like that smiling figure is trying to come back. And now I think because of everything that went on in the past with the whole demonic cultivation and people hating him and stuff like that, I feel at this point he doesn't care about what other people think of him and the demonic cultivation. However, he still wants to protect, obviously, people in his life, like Ling. He's trying to save him and everything, and transferring the curse mark from him to his own body. He doesn't want to harm Lan Wangji, and at this point he's trying to get close to him. Obviously that whole relationship with him and Zhang Cheng, that's literally natural at this point. And we'll get to know Wenning a little bit more as well as the sister, so you guys will find out that as well. What the fuck is going on with my stream? I'm just gonna change Wi-Fi real quick. I'll be back in a moment, guys. Okay. Is the stream back up? Can anyone see the stream properly? We should be back up. That is, unless the stream has stopped. Yeah, it's up. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, we'll stream for another half hour. You weren't here when I said this, Vishesh, but at the beginning of this stream I said tomorrow morning I have to drop off some birthday cards for my nephews at my sister's in the morning. So I don't know if I can stream before I go to work. So what I was gonna do today is I'm gonna stream for another half hour. I'm gonna end the stream. Because obviously the demonic cultivation novel readings are in a playlist of their own, so I don't want to put two different titles on because it's in this particular playlist. So I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna set up a brand new stream, and we're gonna be playing some Honkai Star Rail up until the point that I'm actually gonna go to work, because well, I think for 1, 2, 3, maybe 3, half 3 I should be able to finish, and then have half hour to do whatever I need to do until I need to go to work, because I don't know what time I'll be able to stream tomorrow. And if I don't I have any time to stream tomorrow, then I don't want to not stream at least sometime on Honkai Star Rail. And then Friday, it's my nephew's birthday, so I can stream in the morning, that's fine, I can do Mass Effect. And then Saturday, do whatever I need to do, then Sunday, multi-stream. But yeah, we'll stream for another half hour, and then I'll set up the next stream. Zhang Fangmian fed Wei Wuxian a mere piece of melon, and that was enough for him to let Zhang Fangmian take him back. Zhang Cheng had only been 8 or 9 at the time, and kept several puppies as pets at Lotus Pier. Zhang Fangmian noticed Wei Wuxian was terrified of dogs, so he softly instructed Zhang Cheng to give those puppies away. Zhang Cheng was very unwilling to do so, and threw a tantrum. Complete with hurling things, furious glares, and tearful, hysterical outbursts. However, in the end, the dogs were still sent away. Although he harbored animosity towards Wei Wuxian because of this for a long time, after the two grew close... Oh shit. What did I do? I need to put that there. After the two grew close, they henceforth became a true disaster duo that wreaked havoc wherever they went. When they ran into dogs after this, Zhang Cheng was always the one chasing them off and laughing unreservingly at the boys who leapt up to the top of the trees to avoid them. He had always thought Zhang Cheng would be the one standing with him and Lan Wangji against him. He'd never imagined that, in reality, would be the complete opposite. Wei Wuxian slowly walked to the place where he and Lan Wangji had already... Wait, what? Wei Wuxian slowly walked to the place where he and Lan Wangji had agreed to meet. There were barely any lights and no one on the streets at night. He didn't need to look around. That white-clad form was standing at the end of the long street, his head hanging slightly, unmoving. Wei Wuxian hadn't yet called out in greeting okay. Wei Wuxian hadn't yet called out in greeting when Lan Wangji already locked up, spotting him. After their eyes meet for a moment, he stalked over with a grim face. Wei Wuxian unconsciously took a step back for some reason. He could almost see the blood turning Lan Wangji's eyes red. He had to say Lan Wangji was looking mighty scary. Yet unexpectedly, with just that step back, he stumbled and looked almost as if he was going to fall. Lan Wangji's face changed, and he dashed over, firmly gripping Wei Wuxian's wrist just like he had back at Mount Dafan, steadying him. He bent one knee to the ground, crashing to check his leg. I forgot where it was at. I literally just fucking looked at it. Wei Wuxian was quite shocked. He quickly said, Don't, hang on, Jun, you don't have to do that. Lan Wangji looked up slightly. His light-coloured eyes gazed at him. Then he lowered his head and continued to roll up his trouser leg. Wei Wuxian's hand was still in his clutches. He couldn't get away, and so he could only look up to the sky. His leg was completely covered with the bruising black curse mark. Lan Wangji stared at it for a good moment before he said, greatly embittered at the sight. At the sight, sorry. I was only gone for a few hours. Wei Wuxian shrugged. Several hours is a long time. Anything can happen. Come now. Come now, come now, you may rise. He pulled Lan Wangji to his feet and continued. It's only a normal curse mark. When the evil spirit comes to seek me out, I'll just smash it to bits. Of course, Han Guangjun, you'll have to catch... Wait, what? You'll have to help me. If you don't, I won't be able to handle it. Did you catch that person? Was it him? Where is he? Lan Wangji moved his gaze to the shop sign of an inn down the street, and Wei Wuxian said, let's resolve the matter at the stone fortress first. Wait, let's resolve the matter of the stone fortress first. Basically, the reason why Lan Wangji had like a grim, scary face on him when he first saw Wei Wuxian is because he noticed him walking differently, and he was worried that something happened to him, so he had to make sure that he was okay, and obviously he found out about the curse mark and everything. What I'm gonna do, because this is weird for me. Filter. This just looks bad for some reason. I don't know why. I'm weird. Like, so. It just looks weird to me. Okay. But, yeah, he was kind of worried for him, and that's why he had the grim look in his face, because he doesn't want Wei Wuxian to be harmed anymore. Oh my god, yes, I love this page. Then he headed towards the inn. He hadn't noticed it before, but now felt his legs were a bit numb, probably from getting shocked by Zidian. Thankfully, Jiang Cheng knew to control Zidian's power and didn't completely turn him into a charred, electric, sparking corpse. Lan Wangji, standing behind him, suddenly called out, Wei Ying. Wei Wuxian faltered for a moment, then quickly responded like he hadn't heard that name. What is it? Oh my god, I love this! He actually called his name! Up until this point, Lan Wangji has not said his name. It confirms that he knows that it's him. It's so good. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Oh my god, up until this point he's not, like, said his name ever since he got into Mo Xianyu's body. Oh my god. I love that. I need to read that again. 1 second, guys. That is so good. I love it. Lan Wangji, standing behind him, suddenly called out, Wei Ying. Wei Wuxian faltered for a moment, then quickly responded like he hadn't heard that name. What is it? That was transferred from Jinling? Lan Wangji asked. It wasn't truly a question, but a statement. Wei Wuxian didn't comment, and Lan Wangji continued. You ran into Zhang Wanyin. Zhang Wanyin is basically Jiang Cheng. It's just his formal name or something. I forgot what it is now. On top of the curse mark were marks left by Zidian, so it wasn't difficult to deduce. Wei Wuxian spun around. As long as we both live in this world, we'll meet sooner or later. Stop, don't go, Lan Wangji said. Why? Are you going to carry me? Wei Wuxian said. Lan Wangji gazed at him quietly, and the smile hanging off Wei Wuxian's lips froze. A foreboding shadow arose in his mind. If this was the Lan Wangji of the past, he would have just stumped by... I can't even speak. Okay. If this was the Lan Wangji of the past, he would have been stumped by the joke. Put a cold put on a cold face and left or ignore him completely. But the Lan Wangji of now, it really was hard to say how he would react. Sure enough, when Lan Wangji heard him, he moved in front of Wei Wuxian and seemed to really be bending at the knees, lowering himself to carry him on his back. Wei Wuxian was stunned once again. He quickly said, "Hold on, wait, I was just joking. I just got zapped by Zidian a couple times, that's all. It's not like my legs are broken. A full-grown man needing to be carried on someone's back is too unsightly." "Is it unsightly?" Lan Wangji asked. "Is it not?" Wei Wuxian countered. After a moment of silence, Lan Wangji said, "But you've also carried me on your back before." "Really? How come I don't remember?" Wei Wuxian said. Lan Wangji replied impassively, "You never remember these things. Everyone says my memory's bad. Fine, it is what it is. Either way, that's a no." "You really don't want to?" Lan Wangji pushed. Wei Wuxian refused categorically. "No." The two stared at each other in stalemate for a moment. Then suddenly, one of Lan Wangji's arms circled around his back. He bent forward slightly, while the other hand swept behind the crux of Wei Wuxian's knees. Wei Wuxian was smaller and lighter in build, so he was easily swept up, his body held in midair by a pair of strong arms. Wei Wuxian was never expecting this to be the end result of his no. Whether in his past or present life, this was the very first time he'd been treated this way by anyone. He cried in alarm, "Lan-chan!" Lan Wangji, with Wei Wuxian in his arms, walked very steadily and answered very steadily, "You said not to carry you on my back." "But I didn't say to carry me like this," Wei Wuxian protested. This is funny because in this very moment, because he's not carrying him on his back, he's, carrying him like a bride. He's carrying him bridal style, which is funny to me because a lot of things happen in the future that kind of like implement the whole carrying him bridal style and everything. He does that quite often. And in the end, at one point, I think he puts him on his back as well, so oh man, I gotta love it. But the fact that Wei Wuxian disregarded the fact that he actually said his name right to him and he didn't even understand. Like, the fact that he said Wei Ying right in front of him and Wei Wuxian disregarding that. Oh, if he actually considered what he said, that would have been everything. Because the fact that that was the first time that he said that name, his name, since he got resurrected, and the fact that he pretends to be Mo Xianyu instead of Wei Wuxian, this is the first time that someone has actually said to him that he is Wei Wuxian, Wei Ying. We'll hear Wei Ying a lot. Like, that name a lot during the books. Like, weighing that, weighing this, weighing that, weighing everything. Man really likes to manhandle. He really does. He really fucking does. But the fact that he said his name and knowing that he said, what is it? Like, it was like a normal conversation between them. He knows for an absolute fact that it's Wei Wuxian. So, just for that to be clarified in that normal conversation when he said what's up and everything, or what is it? He is now fully satisfied with saying his name in front of him, which I love, because he needs to say his name more, because at this point Wei Wuxian's just pretending to be Mo Xianyu, but obviously now Lan Wangji knows who he is. Zheng Chang knows who he is. Obviously Wen Ning knows who he is. Like, at this point he should just say, "I'm Wei Wuxian! I'm gay! Lan Wangji's my husband! Oh god, I love it. To be fair, in the future, in the future, he would totally do that. At like new people that he has only just met, he would totally do that. Like, he would literally just go up to everyone and say, "Hey guys, I'm Wei Wuxian. I'm gay. This is my husband." And then Lan Wangji would go carry him bridal style around, and everyone would be like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Oh, gotta love it. It's interesting how Wei Wuxian doesn't know yet that he's a cut sleeve, but he's in the body of a cut sleeve, so that makes it even more influenceable for him to flaunt being gay. And I feel like it's so good because we get to see that style of him more than the teasing side, so he's more flirtatious and more like, you know, flaunting around himself with Lan Wangji, rather than just teasing him a little bit like he did in the past. I feel like now we get to see that flirtatious person and that side of him, and I'm all for it. Carrying him around everywhere and showing him off like trophy wife. Oh, trust me, he's trophy wife, and Lan Wangji is a catch. Just saying. But yeah, it's crazy. Where was we at? Thankfully, night had already fallen and there was no one on the streets, so it wasn't too embarrassing at least. Wei Wuxian wasn't a thin-skinned individual, so after being carried a few steps, he relaxed. He batted at the sashes on Lan Wangji's chest. And then laughed as he moved his hands as if to pull them apart. "You want to see who's more thick-skinned, right?" Wei Wuxian was awash in that refreshing scent of sandalwood. Lan Wangji didn't look at him, his eyes staring straight ahead, unmoved. Ever that incomparably upright, incomparably serious, indifferent face. Seeing how his words were falling on deaf ears, Wei Wuxian thought, as he continued to play with his sashes, "Can't believe Lan Shan is actually so vindictive. He wants to get revenge for every little thing I teased him about in the past. Dousing my fun with that cold water of his. What progress. Not only did his cultivation improve, so did his thick skin." "Lan Shan, did you already know it was me back at Mount Dafan?" Wei Wuxian asked. Lan Wangji replied. "How?" Wei Wuxian was curious. Lan Wangji lowered his eyes. "You want to know?" "Yes," Wei Wuxian said affirmatively. "You told me yourself," Lan Wangji said. "Me? Because of Jinling? Because I summoned Wenning? It can't be any of that, can it?" Wei Wuxian wondered. It was definitely not because of any of that. It was mainly because of the song that he played on the flute to calm Wenning down in that fight. And you guys will find out why that song was recognizable and made it a confirmation to Lan Wangji that that was Wei Wuxian. We'll find out in the future. A ripple seemed to stir the pool of Lan Wangji's eyes. However, this barely noticeable disturbance soon faded, and they immediately returned to deep, clear waters. He said sternly, "Think for yourself." "It's because I can't that I'm asking you," Wei Wuxian complained. This time, however, no matter how much he questioned, Lan Wangji kept his mouth shut and stopped responding. He entered the inn with Wei Wuxian in his arms, and aside from the clerk at the counter of the main hall, who spat out his water, the other onlookers didn't act like anything was outrageous. They came to the door of their room, and Wei Wuxian said, "All right, we're here. You can put me down now. You don't have to have the hands to open." Before he finished, Lan Wangji performed an extremely indecorous act. This was perhaps the most boorish thing he'd ever done in his life. With Wei Wuxian in his arms, he kicked the door open. He basically just booted that fucking door open while also fucking doing bridal style, carrying Wei Wuxian. It's great. The two doors of the room sprang open, and the jittery person sitting inside immediately cried out. "Hang on, Jun. I don't know. After seeing the way the two outside the door had made their entrance, he artistly finished, dumbstruck. "I really don't know." Truly, the head shaker. Ah, okay, so this is where they mean Ni Hua Song, okay. So, the person that was following Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji was Ni Hua Song, which was an old friend of Wei Wuxian and Zhang Cheng's back in the past. The I don't know person, which we'll find out a lot more about, and something interesting and mysterious about him as well. I don't know whether it will say it in the novel, so I guess we'll soon find out about it maybe. But if it doesn't say it, I will let you guys know later on down the line about everything with him. It was as though Lan Wangji hadn't seen him. He carried Wei Wuxian inside, placing him on the mat. Ni Hua Song looked aghast and immediately opened his folding fan, blocking his own face. Wei Wuxian sized him up through that folding fan. His former classmates of his hadn't changed much over the years. He had been the same back then as he was now. He had a refined, scholarly face, yet always wore a submissive expression that made him look like an easy target for bullying into compliance. His outfit was tasteful, simple but remarkable. He must have spent a lot of time putting it together. Rather than the leader of a sect, he more resembled the idle rich. Even in dragon robes, he would have had the air of a crown prince, even bearing a long saber. He had not the air of a cultivation leader. He obstinately refused to admit to anything, so Lan Wangji set down the piece of fabric the black-haired spirit dog had torn off. Ni Hua Song tried to cover the part of his sleeve that was missing. "I just so happened to pass by. I really don't know anything," he said dolefully. Wei Wuxian said, "Let me speak then, since you don't know. Try and see if you know something after you've listened." Ni Hua Song hemmed and hawed, not knowing how to respond, so Wei Wuxian continued. "There's talk of a man-eating ridge and a man-eating fortress in the Xingli Ridge area, but there weren't any real victims. So, it was only a rumor. This rumor would cause regular folk to stay away from Xingli Ridge. Its real purpose is a line of defense, and that's only the first line. Where there is one, there are two. The second line of defense is the walking corpses at Xinglu Ridge. Even if there are normal folk who aren't afraid of the man-eating fortress rumor and trespass up the ridge, or happen to enter the ridge by accident, they would flee at the sight of the walking dead. However, those walking corpses are few in number and weak in strength, so they can't cause any real damage. The third line of defense is the maze array near the stone bunkers. The first two defenses were to guard against normal people, while the other one guards against cultivators. However, its effect is limited to normal cultivators. As for the cultivators equipped with spiritual devices or spirit hounds, or those who specialize in destroying maze arrays or distinguished persons of Hangonshin's level, this line of defense is easily unraveled. 3 lines of defense were erected from the purpose of hiding that stone fortress on Xinglu Ridge from discovery. It's more than evident. Who constructed that stone fortress? This is the domain of the Ni clan of Qinghe. Other than the Ni family, there is no one who could so easily set down 3 defenses checkpoints in Qinghe. Besides, you just so happened to appear near the stone fortress and left evidence behind. What is the purpose of the Ni clan of Qinghe constructed a man-eating fortress on Xinglu Ridge? Where did the corpses inside the walls come from? Were they devoured? Sect leader Ni, if you don't explain everything clearly today, when this gets out later, the cultivation world will be knocking on your door for answers. When that time comes, even if you want to speak, no one will listen, nor will they believe you. Given up, Ni Huasong finally replies hopelessly. That's not a man-eating fortress at all. That's my family's ancestral grave. Ancestral grave? Wei Wuxian asked. Whose family has an ancestral grave that buries blades and not bodies? Ni Huasong said with a long face. Han Gongzhen, before I say anything, will you promise that for the sake of our families, friendship, and the fact that my older brother and your older brother were sworn brothers, that no matter what I say, you and the gentleman next to you will absolutely not tell, and if this gets exposed in the future, please also help me defend and stand as witnesses. You have always been a man of your word. As long as you promise, I will believe you. As you wish, Lan Wangji said. You said it's not a man-eating fortress. Then has it devoured anyone? Ni Huasong gritted his teeth and answered honestly. Yes. Whoa, Wei Wuxian breathed. Ni Huasong immediately added, but it was only the once. The primary fault didn't lie with our family, and besides, it was decades ago. The story of the man-eating fortress of Xinglu Bridge started back then. I only fanned the flames and exaggerated the rumours several-fold, that's all. Please elaborate, Lan Wangji said. He sat there. The threat beneath those well-mannered words palpable? I've never heard that before. Ni Huasong began his slow and reluctant explanation. He said, Han Gongzhen, you know our Ni family is different from the other prominent cultivation clans, since our founding father was a butcher, and the other clans all wielded spiritual swords, while our clan wielded sabers. I'm just going to finish off this page, and then I'll start ending the stream. Also, when Ni Huasong said, when did he say it? No matter what I say, you and the gentleman next to you will absolutely not tell. When he said gentleman, I'm just going to spoil this now because I don't know whether it actually says it in the novel anyway. I don't think it's actually in the anime either, but I know this because I already know the entire story. But the reason why he said this gentleman, because he is pretending not to know that it's Wei Wuxian. At this point, he knows that this gentleman, per se, is actually Wei Wuxian. And the fact that he knows, well, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji don't know that he knows that that's Wei Wuxian. Not yet, anyway. But, the reason why he knows is also the reason why Wei Wuxian is also alive now. So, Ni Huasong is one of the reasons why Wei Wuxian got reincarnated. Well, came back to life in Mo Xianyu's body. And I'm hoping that we get to experience, like, behind the scenes and everything with Ni Huasong, Mo Xianyu, and Wei Wuxian later on down the line. But at this very moment, Ni Huasong definitely knows for an absolute fact that this gentleman is Wei Wuxian. But he doesn't know that Lan Wangji knows that it's Wei Wuxian. But, yeah. This was a widely known fact, not a secret whatsoever. Even the insignia on the Ni clan of Qinghe was the savage head of a beast that looked both like a hound and a wild boar. Ni Huasong continued, "Our cultivation method is different from the other clans, and with our founding father's butcher background, bloodshed was inevitable. Sabres wielded by our clan leaders throughout history have always been extremely heavy with resentment and killing aura. Almost every clan leader has suffered a chi devastation and died a violent death. Their characters were also I don't know how to say that word because I've never seen it before. Irascible? I don't know. And those sabres have a lot to do with it. Take Ni Huasong's elder brother, Ni Mingzhe, for example. This young cultivation leader was sworn brothers with Lan Xichen and Jin Gongyao. Qi Fengzhen was decisive and resolute, dignified and magnanimous. Zhuojun was gentle like jade, noble and pure in character, and Liang Fengzhen, smooth and resourceful, sharp-witted and intelligent. The three took on oath of sworn brotherhood during the Sunshot campaign. Each had their own praiseworthy deeds and were later venerated as the Three Zun of the cultivation world. However, in the prime of his life, Ni Mingzhe's Ji devastated during an important event, and he died violently. His body bursted with blood. Many attendees of the event that day were injured while he was in the throes of madness. His dignified name built up over a lifetime fallen to such a disgrace. Ni Huasong must have been thinking of his older brother, for he looked downcast. He continued, "While the clan leaders were still alive, the agitated of their sabres could be suppressed by their masters. However, once the masters were dead, there was no one to control them, so they would turn murderous." Wei Wuxian arched his brow. Well, that's hitting a bit close to demonic cultivation path. And that's where we will end today. Kind of is like demonic cultivation, honestly. But yeah, what page are we on right now? We are on page 272. And we are so close to going on to the last fucking, like, chapter as well, which is crazy. So next stream we will definitely be in chapter 7, but we will not be able to finish it in that stream. Unless I do a longer stream, but yeah. That will do this stream for now. And then next week we will finish off chapter 6, going on to chapter 7. So yeah, we had a little bit more information during this stream. Basically, we found out that Zhang Cheng knows that Wei Wuxian is Wei Wuxian. Jinling is a little bit suspicious, but not too suspicious because Zhang Cheng does this all the time. Lan Wangji said Wei Ying's name right in front of him, which made it even more confirming that it is Wei Wuxian. Ni Huasong knows that it's Wei Wuxian now. Well, he knew from the very beginning. And now they're talking about everything that's gonna happen in the future. So, yeah, and Wei Wuxian also apologized and everything to Jinling as well, making sure that he's okay and everything, transferred the curse mark over, and making sure he was okay. And also the fact that Wei Wuxian was bridal styled carried by Lan Wangji, it's great. That's gonna happen a few times. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will continue with finishing off chapter 6, going on to chapter 7, which is the last chapter in the first volume. So I'm looking forward to finishing this particular book and then moving on to volume 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, depending on where you are. If people are going to watch my next stream, I'm just going to set it up straight after this stream. So if you guys want to go check out the next stream, we'll be playing some Honkai Star Rail. So yeah guys, I'm going to end the stream here, and I'm going to restart another stream playing some Star Rail. So I hope I will see you guys there. And until the next time guys, I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye everyone. See you in a little bit of Shesh if you're going to be staying for the next stream, and if not, then I will catch you in a next one. Later guys.